Peggy Kotsopoulos has a passion for food that started pretty much when she was born. She grew up in a Greek household, so she says she really had no choice. She believes the food we choose to eat each day is one of the most important decisions we make. She proves her point in her new book, Must Have Been Something I Ate. Peggy is a registered holistic nutritionist, health educator, and big fan of vibrant wellness. It is my pleasure to welcome Peggy Kotsopoulos to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
Must have been something I ate. How often have we said that?
I know. It's always linked back to what we eat, whether we feel not so good or whether we feel amazing. It comes down to what we eat.
Well, what is the connection then between what we eat and how we look and feel?
So, I mean, depending on, food really fuels us. Food is our medicine. Food is our mood elevator. Food de-stresses us or can stress us. So it's really choosing the right types of foods to add to our diet.
When did you figure that out personally, or was it a personal experience?
No, it was a personal experience, and literally it was from the time I was about 5 years old, where I was one of those bizarre childs who would like to go to the grocery store and want strawberries or Brussels sprouts, and I know it's bizarre.
Really? But not jawbreakers?
No, I'm going to refrain that. I actually like jawbreakers as well.
Okay.
But I knew if I had a pint of strawberries, my face would tingle and I get these little, I get this vibrant glow. Whereas if I had a bag of chips, I would feel lethargic and my face would be greasy. And at 5 years old, who wanted a greasy complexion, right?
Not at 5.
So no, but I just knew, I just had that awareness. So I just thought, if I could choose to have foods that'll fuel me and energize me, because so I can play longer or whatever it was from a young age, I just chose that. So I just had that awareness from the time I was young. So just growing up, I always knew to make better choices.
Well, in the beginning of the broadcast, I talked about, and you talk about her in the book, the woman who bounces into work every single day, top of her game, probably has 4 kids at home, has been to the gym, you know, and still looks like better than anybody in the office, and at 5 o'clock still feeling like
amazing.
$1 million.
Yeah.
Not stressed.
No.
And you say that has to do with what she puts in her body, how she feels her body, some of that.
Yeah, totally. It does. Food affects your energy, it affects your mood. So really, if you incorporate the right types of foods throughout your day, you're not going to have those 3 p.m. crashes. Those 3 p.m. crashes you have really has to do with what you had at lunch, your stress levels, all that kind of stuff. So if you start incorporating the right types of foods from an earlier on in the day and for a period of time, you will start to feel better. And once you start adding little things, you'll start to feel better all the time, and you won't want to go back to that place you were before.
Keys to energy.
Yes.
Keys to energy. What foods do you eat to energize you?
Okay, so to begin with, when it comes to energizing foods, the first thing actually we want to start with is water. One of the #1 causes of fatigue is dehydration. So if we're not drinking enough water in a day, we will get fatigued and tired. Because what happens is, even just the mildest dehydration, our blood volume drops. If our blood volume drops, our body has to work really, really hard just for our heart to pump, our lungs to pump, our body to function. So just by adding more water, all of a sudden our body doesn't have to work as hard, so we have more energy. So
how much water is enough water?
Half your body weight in ounces in a day.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's
if you're
a lot.
100, so let's say, for example, if there's a 130-pound woman, that's around 65 ounces in a day, which is just over 8 cups. If you weigh more than that, you should actually be drinking more water in a day. And if you're active, even more than that.
Sure.
So that's
and
just
who cares if you pee a lot?
Exactly. Exactly. You'll get used to it.
That's a minor thing.
Exactly. Also, energizing food, greens. So sunflower sprouts, they're really high in chlorophyll. Actually, sprouts have anywhere between 100 to 600 times the amount of nutrients than a macro green. And what chlorophyll does is it increases the number of red blood cells in your body. Red blood cells deliver oxygen to your cells. The more oxygen to your cells, the more vibrant you're going to feel, the more energized you're going to feel. So chlorophyll is really, really rich. Fluorescence, or chlorella, it is actually the highest source of chlorophyll on the planet. So really, really energy boosting.
Chlorella. So if you take chlorella in juice, some of the fruit juices in the morning have chlorella and algae or chlorophyll, things like that.
Algae is kind of like the top of the food chain when it comes to chlorophyll and energy boosting properties. It's really rich in iron, really rich in the amino acid tyrosine. So what tyrosine does, it's a precursor to dopamine production. Now dopamine is the neurotransmitter in our brain that's responsible for energy and motivation and drive. It's what gives you the kick in the butt to get up in the morning to do things.
Well, as you know, we've been saying it for the last year anyway, since Paulin said it, which is eat less, mostly fruits and vegetables.
Yes. Exactly.
Pretty true.
Very true.
Plant-based diet if you can.
Plant-based diet, absolutely. If you can do mostly plant-based diet, you're going to get so much nutrients, vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients. It's really going to fuel you.
As you know, everybody's stressed today because there's hockey tonight at 5. And I didn't sleep last night because I think I'm playing hockey. Like, what's that about? But I played hockey at 4 o'clock this morning. I did. So, stress relievers. Stress relievers, or supplements, something like that.
So things that are really good that actually help calm you down when it comes to even nutrients, magnesium is really calming. Actually, raw chocolate, believe it or not, is one of the highest plant-based sources of magnesium on the planet.
Raw chocolate, does it taste good?
It's really bitter tasting, but you can blend it into smoothies, you can add it to your cereal, you can just, sweeten it yourself using natural sweeteners. So raw chocolate. Also, there's things like valerian root or passion flower. These are really calming. They have really calming sedative properties. Also, when it comes to stress, maca. So maca actually is an adaptogen, and what it actually does is it increases your body's resistance to stress.
Maca.
Maca.
And what is maca?
So maca is actually a Peruvian root vegetable. Actually, technically it's an herb, but it looks like a root vegetable. Okay. It grows in Peru, and it's an adaptogen. And what an adaptogen does is it increases your body's resistance to stress and naturally balances hormone levels. So the way I like to look at it, it doesn't actually increase blood hormone levels, but it lets your endocrine system talk to each other properly. So it actually reduces the amount of cortisol that's going to be released from your adrenal glands, and it really helps. Not only does it have energy boosting properties, but it has anti-anxiety properties.
And as you know, people that have a lot of hurry up and start in their day deplete their adrenal glands, and that's not good. So you want to keep, I guess, all the glands balanced and the organs, but it's a lot of thinking.
Yeah, well, you know what?
I mean, we're thinking about hockey and beer.
Yeah, I know.
And so, do you have like a plan for the day?
Yeah, well, you know what's
must
great?
Have been something
you know what's really good, actually, if you're thinking about hockey and beer and the stress and the anxiety and all that kind of stuff, and you want something to boost your mood. Actually, have you tried Sassy seeds before?
I tried one.
Okay, try some. Actually,
but I
tried those ones are my favorite.
Oh, I will. I will after.
So they're
and it was delicious.
Aren't they?
Yes, you didn't know, you weren't here, so I just popped one.
So these are actually, these are not only really high in protein and fiber, they're actually the highest source of omega-3 fatty acids in the world, which are really mood boosting.
Yes.
Omega-3s actually increase the number of neurotransmitters in your brain that bind onto serotonin, so they increase your serotonin.
And what is
receptors.
a Sassy seed? Peanut?
So it's actually a seed, and it comes from the Sassy plant that's also grown in Peru, in the Amazon rainforest of Peru. And like I said, it's one of the highest sources of omega-3 fatty acid, but it's also really high in tryptophan. So I call it the happy seed. So if you're looking for a little mood boosting property, this is amazing because tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin production in your brain. Serotonin is your happy neurotransmitter, so it's really mood boosting.
So it's not tryptophan.
Tryptophan, yeah.
But that's in the turkey that makes you sleepy, isn't it?
It actually has 3.5 times more tryptophan than turkey. But it's not really the turkey that makes you fall asleep. It's the carbs, all the carbs that you load up with. Yes, it's everything else. It's the heavy
and the stress.
Meal. Exactly.
The Thanksgiving stress. Yes. That's it, or the Christmas stress.
Yeah, that's food coma, actually.
Okay, food coma.
Food coma.
Well, what is going on in your body when you have a meal, a sandwich for lunch, and you're tired after?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things, because when you think about our body, there's so much going on internally that we're not even aware of. So it can deplete our energy. And if we have meals that are hard for our body to break down, they're nutritionally void, our body internally has to work a lot harder.
Makes sense.
So even our digestive system, I mean, 80% of our energy goes towards digesting food. So if we eat more simply and more clean, our body internally will work less hard, so we'll actually have more physical energy.
What do you eat on a typical day? How does your day go? Do you graze? Do you eat 3 meals a day?
Yeah, I'm more of a grazer. I'll typically have 3 meals and a fruit or a snack in between, or some nuts. I'm a big nut junkie. I love almonds or Sassy seeds I snack on. I'm addicted to chlorella. That's probably one of my key go-to supplements, because I make sure I get my greens in my day. I start my day off with a smoothie. Actually, the Vega Whole Food Health Optimizer, it has 26 grams of protein, 60% of your daily recommended intake of fiber, it has your daily requirement of vitamins and minerals and nutrients. So it has everything. So I do a smoothie every morning.
In a yogurt, in what?
I actually just do water and frozen berries. You can add almond milk to it. Coconut milk is really good to add to it.
Coconut's a big thing right now.
Coconut is a
Everybody's
great
talking
thing.
about coconut oil,
Yes.
coconut water,
Yes.
coconut everything.
Coconut
Why?
is great. Well, for different reasons. So coconut oil is actually one of the best oils that you can cook with. It has a high smoking point, so if you're going to be cooking any foods, coconut oil is the best thing to use. It's also a medium chain fatty acid, so it gets absorbed in your small intestine. It's immediately used for fuel, so
Sure.
it's immediately available. Coconut water is really hydrating, so it's loaded in electrolytes, which really help with hydration.
Does it taste like coconut?
It tastes a little bit like coconut, yes.
not too much.
But not too much, yeah.
Okay, because some of that, I'm not a macaroon girl, but I do cook with
Yeah.
coconut oil because I know it's healthier
Yeah.
because of when an oil reaches a certain point,
Exactly.
as you know, it changes and it can become a bad fat
Right.
instead of a good fat.
Right.
Well, you know, the Italians, they drizzle olive oil.
Yeah, well,
they
that's
don't
like
fry
me
in
too.
it much.
No, my grandmother, I mean, growing up, we'd always, I mean, number one, we wouldn't want to waste really good olive oil to cook with it, but we always drizzle it on our food after we cook with it. Extra virgin olive oil should be left raw.
Okay, Peggy Kotsopoulos, our guest, must have been something I ate, her new book, and she has beauty tips in here too.
Yes, I
So you make
do.
some of your own cosmetics.
Yes.
Oh my, that's why you look 12. We'll come back.